going to ask them to tell us about themselves. We're going to know about the industry. That's where we're moving towards, is making sure that we have a conversation about the industry, with the industry, where people are coming from, what their goals are, what their expectations are. It's not just a one-off. You got to start to understand this is a real business now. This isn't just some kid sitting behind his computer doing a couple coding things. This is a business. And in business, you need to understand from the C-suite all the way down to the mailroom. So I'm excited.
I just want you to know, Akil. Number one, it's cool that you got to sit down with somebody, and somebody like you who is stubborn as hell went and said, you know what? I get it. I get it. Also, at the same time, I want you to know this, that right now, for the last 36 minutes, I have been on mute on YouTube. I've literally done the entire monologue, and the only people that have heard it were the people on Spaces. Yes, that is right. David Gokhshtein once again gives some of the illest breakdowns only to be left on mute. I want to cry. I want to cry, but lessons have been learned. Lessons have been learned. By the way, who is the woman in your profile picture?
Oh, that's the MP from Canada from Blockchain Futures. I thought she was really sweet. We had a great conversation.
Okay. Just wanted to know. I was like, I constantly look at your PFP. I'm like, who the hell is that? Akil, your thoughts. What do you think about the shit that's going on with Michael Saylor here? Tax evasion came out yesterday. Michael strategies. I mean, well, it should be called that. It should be called Michael strategies because the only reason I know about micro strategies is because of Michael Saylor. But what are your thoughts there on what's happening?
Well, first and foremost, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in this world. Second thing, interesting fact, Ross McDonald pointed this out to me. MicroStrategy is an educational development company. Have you ever used anything educational from MicroStrategy?
Oh my God.
I just want to say that it is. It's funny. But they do have a nonprofit arm that reached out to us before. No, here it's not very hard, right? They're going to have to decide where he declared residency each one of those years. So although he may own property in Washington D.C., was he actually a resident of D.C.? So that's what they're going to have to figure out. I think it's still open because he could have said, look, during the pandemic, everything was closed and I moved down to Florida full time because he does own property there. So, for the life of me, I don't see this going too far. Now, the interesting part is that they did not just probe Michael Saylor, right? So Binance CEO CZ, he also was asked to submit information around the same kind of issue. Was he actually, and he was with the feds, but was he actually being part of an investigation? So you know what? I think there's a lot of people just grabbing at straws. A lot of politicians, because most AGs are politicians, looking to make their names. And what do you make your name on? You don't make your name off of Sally Go Happy down in the corner shopping mart. You make your name on the CEO of $1 billion company. So they're going to go for whoever they can. It's par for the course.
Yeah, my whole thing is, what did Wesley Snipes go into jail for? Wasn't it tax evasion?
Oh, first off, we could always go back to Al Capone on that one, baby. They always say what took down Al Capone. It wasn't the mob; it was the taxes.
So Wesley Snipes did 2.5 years for failure to file 15 million worth of tax returns. 2.5 years. That's insane.
That's why I'm like, my thing is, are they going to make Michael Saylor an example here.
You know what? Now that Akil reminds me of what I said before, yeah, we were like interviewing Michael Saylor. I was like, "Hey, Akil," I was like, MicroStrategy owns like 129,000 Bitcoin, right? Yeah, and he's like, yeah, and then I'm like, you know anyone that's ever done any education on MicroStrategy? And it's like, no. Maybe this gets a little deeper.
I just like honestly to me like I don't want to see Michael Saylor get hit because
No.
then again it's a ripple effect on this entire industry.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, like that's where, you know, that's where I stand, that's how I look at everything. So, you know, I hope that it does go away. I hope that, you know, like he squares this away. But like could they really, you know, honestly, could they make an example out of him because of the narrative currently that's being placed on Bitcoin and the crypto industry in general?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, see this guy? This is why we told you crypto's no good. This is why we told you Bitcoin is bad. This is why we told you that Bitcoin, besides it using a boatload of energy, it is used for money laundering and to evade taxes.
I hope that doesn't happen.
But think of the people that are in Congress right now speaking the way I just spoke.
Mm-hmm. On the flip side of things, I think Dennis Porter has he had Twitter Spaces this morning entitled "Congress Must All Be Maximalists."
What?
So he's thinking Congress are maximalists because they're only trying to regulate Bitcoin. But like Dennis is a very intelligent guy. That statement makes no sense because Bitcoin's getting regulated because it has the biggest market cap and because it's the path of least resistance. If any congressmen have to learn or women have to learn about Ethereum or altcoins, their brains are going to explode. That's why they're regulating Bitcoin.
The bottom line is, you know, like we have a bunch of people that are in Congress that don't know anything about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general. And these are the people that are passing laws and they're like literally you want to talk about fudders? They are the worst fudders on the planet. They are literally the worst.
Don't forget this. When bills are issued at Congress, there are people who are hired to take a 160-page document and it gets dropped on their desk at 10 o'clock at night, and they have to summarize it into 6 pages so that the congressman can kind of flip through it while they're eating a bagel in the morning. There's hundreds of people who have that as their job, right?
Yeah.
And so they do get summaries. They do sort of get to the cliff notes to get to look at it. But hopefully those people giving those summaries are doing a good job or understand crypto. Hopefully they're under the age of 50. Even a better circumstance would be if they're under the age of 40. But I don't know, like that is the system that's making this regulation.
Well, Ross, they are under the age of 40. If anything, DC, after my many years in DC is run by 18-year-olds, 21-year-old interns, and 28-year-old chiefs of staff. So that's who really runs DC, and that's why there's so many poor decisions made. And also Friday at 4:15, it's nothing but wine parties inside of the House of Representatives. And if you think I'm kidding, ask somebody that actually works there. They just
Wait,
bottles of orange.
Are you saying that they go to the Catalina wine mixer?
Yo, first of all, you know, people bring up age. I was on a podcast yesterday and somebody brought up age about politicians. And I was like, it's not the age. It's, you know, because I used to sit back and think about age, right? Being an issue. It's not age. It's about how long have they been there. And when you're there for 20, 30 years, you make friends. And when you make friends, you're going to, you know, do favors for your friends. And, you know, a lot of these people are like literally in the pockets of the banks. So they're going to do everything possible to help out their friends. Because, like, crypto obviously is not very friendly, or I would say it doesn't fit in with the narrative for the banks, right? So, how are you going to get things done when you have people like Sherman from Cali that are sitting up there they have no idea what they're fucking talking about, but they're saying and telling you how bad crypto is. It's not age. Akil, am I wrong? I mean, you worked in politics.
No. So most politicians, it isn't their age. The reason why everyone ends up being older as politicians because it takes. I mean, if you're running for like a city council race in most places, it costs about $100,000 to run the campaign. So it's more about just access to funds. And younger people have a hard time getting access to funds because you're asking someone to invest in you, but you have no track record of actually doing anything. It's just difficult. It's not saying it's impossible. It's just very difficult. Older people that have to do things, they end up in office and then they end up in there for 50 years. Why? Because it's the easiest job. You can't be fired for fucking up in Congress. You can't be. Guess when they can fire you? In 2 years after when the new election comes. And most times they go people run they run against they're the incumbent. Incumbency is easy. People see a name, they hit the button, they keep it moving. There was a great movie with Eddie Murphy years ago where he played this politician and he was like, I got the same name as this dead guy. And literally he just took the guy's face off, ran with it, and guess what? He was elected senator. It was a stupid movie, but it's kind of how you got to realize people are creatures of habit. They'll vote for the same name they recognize. Name recognition is 90% of the game. If people know who you are, you can get elected. But outside of that, I think the Bitcoin crypto industry in Congress, when people are having these meetings, they just need to go speak to their congressional members. They just have to talk to them. I'll tell you what, if a Congress member gets 5,000 phone calls about one crypto thing, they'll start to change their tune real fast. And I swear to you, that is a God's honest truth. 5,000 phone calls and you'll hear a different tune. Matter of fact, the White House will put out a statement after 100,000 people have made comments on Twitter. So, hey, folks, if you want to make an impact, this is how you do it.
Let's stay off. I was thinking about this yesterday's topic, and thank you, Akil, for that. Yesterday's topic, we got. Oh, by the way, let's before we get into that, what do we think about this whole Binance situation with CZ? Is he being investigated, or or he was being investigated? What is it?
He was being investigated,
Okay.
but he voluntarily turned over information, which he also underlines. But CZ basically is saying, yeah, they asked me for my stuff. I gave it to him. But he also thinks it's funny that they're now calling him a Chinese company. And he goes, he's been in Canada for over 30 years. Why is he a Chinese company?
Kind of racist, right?
A little bit, but that's the media, man. The media is calling him a Chinese company. He's like, I've been in Canada for 30 years building this company. What the fuck?
They have no idea who he is. Like, have absolutely no idea who he is. They probably think Vitalik is from Eastern Europe, even though he's been in Canada for God knows how long. Again, shout out to Vitalik. Vitalik has, I think if you guys really want to look up to somebody other than Andrew Tate, I think it would be Vitalik. I think Vitalik is somebody you should look up to because the man literally knows that he has a huge package, but never said never said a word. Never said a word about it. Never. The dude literally wore unicorn outfits, like some of the craziest outfits I've ever seen. Like you know what you can do with Vitalik. You can actually have him on E, like the channel E, like during Fashion Week. Like you can have Vitalik there because his style is just as crazy as Elton John and the rest of these motherfuckers. Like he is out there, man. Like he is rocking some. You know what? Actually, I think Kanye West should be sponsoring Vitalik because the shit that Kanye West be making is the same shit that Vitalik's wearing. But Vitalik literally has hid his secret for a very long time. Not only like he brought Ethereum out here for everybody. There's a lot of people that are really big fans of Ethereum. They see what Ethereum can provide, the ecosystem that is built. But he's been quiet up until recently. Up until recently, when he released his first single off, I think he's gonna drop a hip hop album. I really think it's coming, but he releases his first single live with a bunch of people doing some weird ass dance in the background. I don't know what the dancing was about. Have no clue what kind of dancing that is. But here he is up on stage spitting bars. Bars. I'm talking about this was no ghostwriter. This is him spitting bars. And then the
I think
next
he hired interpretive dancers for that.
I don't know what that was. The way I interpreted it, that was that like these people have no clue where they are right now and what they're doing here, but they're just they're just improving and just like fuck it, I'm just do some shit up here. But if you hear if you hear that single that he dropped, he gave you a taste of what was to come, and the next day or a day or 2 days after, he drops the cover to his hip hop album. He literally dropped the package. Yet many people here within this space in disbelief. I don't even know at this point, do you hate Ethereum or do you hate Vitalik because he has a bigger package than you do?
I'm not bad. I'm jealous.
You might be jealous, you might be clapping congratulations, but there are other people right now that can care less about Ethereum, and they are more mad at him about dropping. Yo, that thing, I don't know what that shit is. That it looked like something from SpaceX.
It's something. I mean, and you know the funny part is, like, look, people think this is like an accident. Like, yo, that dude walks around like that, straight up, no lie. When he got to the blockchain futures conference, he literally said, "How did you get here?" And he looks over at everybody and goes, "Oh, I walked." That dude just walks around like that.
He
Walks around.
he didn't walk. He did not walk.
He walked.
I tell you right now what happened. I'll tell you right now.
He walked, David.
No, he didn't. He did not walk. Listen to me. Listen clearly. This dude, okay? He said, I'm going to ride. Actually, no. I'm going to hold on 1 second because I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I'm about to say something. This dude was running on 3 legs.
All right.
What?
Let's get to the real story.
What is the okay? So I'm saying, so so people are honestly mad right now on social media in our industry because he dropped that image.
All right, this is the Breakdown 52. We're resetting. This episode is brought to you by Schlong Vision.
But think about it, and he is so smart that he dropped it right when his book was coming out. So think about what he just did. You guys, it went over your heads. He went ahead and dropped a single. He dropped a picture which literally has it's like the version of one of SpaceX Rocket 9s that are trying to hit Mars and shit. And then at the same time he's dropping a book.
It's true. His book comes out September 27th. It's entitled Proof of Stake: The Making of Ethereum and the Philosophy of Blockchains.
It's proof of schlong. It's not proof of stake anymore. This is proof of schlong.
Listen, he is about to get married, though. I mean,
oh, God bless. God bless whoever that is.
What he's into, who he's into, but after that picture, I'm pretty sure his DMs and his request for marriage have blown up.
God bless. Yo, listen. You know what? You know what I'm gonna say right now? You know that black dude, that meme of that black dude that goes around all the time?
Oh yeah, the big dude.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be replaced with with Vitalik. There's like that has to be replaced. Like we need to retire that picture and replace it with Vitalik. So that'll be my last thoughts on Vitalik and how he went ahead and set up everything with his book dropping, with his single dropping, with his pants almost dropping, or actually being held together, with Ethereum popping. Damn, these words are just not coming out right. And now proof of stake turning into proof of schlong going what September 15th? What is it? The 10th, 15th? You have the merge happening. This man is a genius. This man is Kanye of crypto. Now, you know how this works. You come up here, you got 2 minutes. If you don't say anything that's interesting, you're getting right off the stage. No shilling. Don't tell me about your new project that just came out 8 seconds ago. I don't care about it. I don't care. Let's talk about what's happening within this industry. Um, hold on. This is being reported. Biden to warn. Oh shit! I hate when notifications right there and it just disappeared. But it was something about Biden warning people about MAGA or something like that. Um, you can hit the request button and come up here. Nico, I know you wanted to talk. I wanted to bring you up here, but I just couldn't click you. I couldn't click on you in time. So my apologies, my dude. I know you wanted to be up here, and I know you wanted to hit us with your daily rap about doing something or running somebody over in the city, um, raise your hand and I will get you up here. Ross, listen, I don't know if was that a sensitive subject for you about the proof of, should I say stake or can I say like what I really think it is?
You can say whatever you want.
Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm having a coffee. But if you want to take this into the gutter, we can still look up at the stars. That's fine.
Oh my God. Skip Bayless is in the house today. Skip. Skip.
Yo, y'all two are wild right now.
Skip, you gotta loosen up, man. This is some. Listen, more people join Ethereum due to due to the picture than they ever did before. Look at the price. Look at the price.
That's possible.
People started talking about, and this is the society we live in. Things like that, things like that make people go into things. Look at Andrew Tate. We talked about him yesterday. He's saying the same things that were said 20 years ago, but they're just not being said now. So he's saying them, and now people are shocked and they are tuning in. The same way people were shocked when they saw his photo. And you know what? People just like me said, you know what? Man, I like Vitalik now.
I mean, a lot of people like Vitalik now. Like I said, he's about to get some marriage proposals. I'm pretty. What was it? An indecent proposal. He's getting some indecent proposals sent to him right now. I mean, for real, for real. I mean, look, it's 10 inches of fun made for someone else. I mean, you gotta whoever he ends up with is gonna have a hell of a lifetime. A hell of a lifetime with him.
Well, think about the money.
Exactly.
Let's think about the money.
He is. Listen, Vitalik now has all the power. He's a billionaire with 10 inches of fun. I mean, what? Like, look, that's the come up for somebody. I mean, you don't have to do anything. If you ever cheated on him, you'd be ashamed of yourself.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you right now, Akil. If Sam comes out from FTX, if Sam comes out and does some shit like Vitalik did, I swear to God, I'm retiring. What's going on, engineer? I guess it's engineer.
Yeah, I'm gonna go marry an engineer. Fuck that.
No, this guy who came up here right now. I think it's that. Hold on, let me look at the entire name. Roland, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just actually I got it's just quite so interesting listening to all of you up here. Yeah. It's quite so interesting hearing about Ethereum, and it's bullish. It's going bullish very soon, and we are actually waiting to get it started.
Hey, David, not to be that guy. Hey, engineer, you sound like the person that David was just on the cell phone with about his phone not coming through. We don't understand what you just said.
I have no clue. Tammy, did you want to? Tammy wanted to come up here today and talk about. Tammy, you wanted the mic today?
I know Tammy. Yeah, Tammy definitely. Come on up, Tammy. Because
I think Tammy wanted the mic today, man.
we had some private DMs, Tammy. And Tammy's got over 20 years in the banking industry.
Come on, Tammy, hit that lever down there. Tammy can't find it. Hold on 1 second. Tammy can't find it. Tammy's trying. By the way, I got to speak to Jason. I see Jason in this room. Jason, I need help ASAP because I can't do this whole. I can't hold the phone. I can't be doing this whole phone. This entire. Honestly, my hand right now is like killing me. But I'm doing this for the people. I am doing this for the people.
David, you didn't get the extension yet?
What extension?
So you can get an extension that will plug into most. So what kind of mic is your
No. My mic's fine. Like everything's fine. It's just that people are super lazy to walk over to, let's say, YouTube to actually. But at the same time, I can't actually have this kind of conversation on YouTube's live because I'm on YouTube live right now. But I wouldn't be able to go ahead and have these conversations with anybody unless I just made it like into a show, which I'm not. It's the breakdown. All I wanted to do is have you guys see my facial expressions to the stuff that I'm saying here. So I'm trying to work it out. I'm really, you know what? And shout outs to the entire community. You guys have 52 episodes. You guys have tuned in and you've really been supporting me, especially in my DMs. Like you've been saying a lot of nice stuff, and I appreciate you guys a lot. So I'm just trying to take this show to the next level because I want people to see my reactions as I'm talking about certain topics, and this show is going to be about everything. It might not be to everybody's liking, but I can care less. I'm not to everybody's liking, and you don't have to follow me. I've said this plenty of times, but my thing is, at the end of the day, I like to come into, especially the breakdown, because it's more of a morning show, to come into a space where we can have fun talking about cryptocurrency and Web3, because nobody can still give me a real answer or a definition to what Web3 is all about. But here's Tammy. She finally found her microphone. We'll bring up Tammy. Tammy, you wanted to throw hands yesterday. What's up with you, man?
I did want to throw hands yesterday. You guys hear me okay?
We hear you.
Oh, we hear you.
I don't think you guys want to bring up that subject again today.
Well, how did you feel about it, Tammy?
I was bothered, David. I was very bothered by that. And just listening, I guess I have superpowers that I didn't know I had.
First shot of the day. Tammy, that was a home run right there. So,
yeah, see, mic drop.
Yo,
I put on my cape yesterday and I owned it. I owned it yesterday.
Yo, when you said the superpowers, well, when it was stated yesterday, I was like, look, I can't speak for women, but when I heard that, I was like, wow.
That was a very eye-opening space yesterday. I mean, I expected it. I'll go ahead and say it. I expected that kind
of spit it out, Tammy.
Yeah, that kind of talk out of Hector. But some other people, I was just shocked, like some of the things that were being said. And I believe it was Haley that came up and spoke as well. And she had a lot of great points. And poor Jess, I mean, Jess was brought up and she got talked over and she left because she couldn't get a word out without them interrupting. But yet they tell everybody else they interrupt. So it was just bad. It was bad all around. And, the inequality with pay, things like that, that is legitimate. I I will say this. I was thinking about it yesterday because I did need to kind of calm down a little bit after listening to it. It was just, there were so many different things, but the inequality in pay, I happened to take over for a gentleman that got fired at the financial institution that I ran for 14 years. And sure enough, cleaning out his desk, in mind you, he came from, I know a lot of people would say, oh, his background, his experience. I had more experience than this man. He came from the automotive industry, and he came in, worked as a manager, and he was at that branch for quite some time. But when I was cleaning out his desk, because he happened to be escorted out and I took over for him, I went in and cleaned everything out that weekend. I found his pay stubs that he kept in his desk. Just, everything was just out in the open. And that man was paid $20,000 more than I was being paid for the same job.
See, and that's bullshit.
Yes. And when I saw that, I was like, you know what? It was all right there. I was going through cleaning stuff out, but I was shocked by that. And I'm thinking, this man wasn't even doing his job. And I just wow. So that does happen. So I know the statistics that were being brought up, or whatever studies were being brought up, data, whatever, it happens. But the things that I heard yesterday really, if these boys have daughters, man, the stuff that was being said was just wrong. That's all I'm going to say.
I think,
it was quite a double standard.
I'm going to say that, I came onto Twitter in 2010. I think I was on before that, but I kept my mouth shut. I came on here in 2017, and if you look at some of my videos, like, I was raw and uncut. There was nothing. You want to talk about unfiltered? Like, I was totally unfiltered, but I didn't cross the line with the stuff that I said. And as I've grown, like, I've, I kind of like tame myself in a sense, and I've, I've taken a step back with it. But like, now I just want to, like, now I'm watching shit that's happening in our society to where, like, I want to speak up about it. And it just, like I said yesterday, or I said on a podcast, can't just be like a one-sided thing where one side gets to speak and the other side can't. And yesterday, listening to the stuff that was being said, uh, again, I can't speak for you as a woman, Tammy, or any woman in here, but my personal opinion, I was like, yo, I learned a lot about a lot of people in here yesterday. Like, I really did.
Same.
And I was really, like, honestly, I don't know. I was a little bit disappointed. Listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion, though. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and cool. But the the stuff that was being said, it was like, wow. Like, and this is what I meant about Andrew Tate. This is what I meant by Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is saying essentially the same things. He's not saying anything that is leveling anybody up. He is saying things.
Hey David, I'll say this. So my partner's got this thing about Andrew Tate, and but if I name a media personality, I can go to him. He'll look it up. He'll tell me all the information. But apparently, Andrew Tate spent most of his career talking about how he's a quote unquote traditionalist. Right? There is nothing traditional about this man. He made money as a kickboxer. Then he literally talks girls into becoming prostitutes for him to pay him money. Like, there's nothing traditional about the guy. Like, he's not like, oh, your wife should stay at home and cook. No, he wants them to go out and make him money. That is called a pimp.
Which he's admitted to doing in Romania.
Yeah, because they don't have laws. But he's a pimp, so how can you even side on him and be like, oh, well, he's getting canceled? Yo, if some dude was pimping out your daughter, would you be siding with him? And let me also say this, because I thought about it last night. We don't talk about Bill Cosby anymore, even though we all love the Cosby Show, because what? Because of what Bill Cosby did. We all admit he did some messed up shit. But we don't talk about him anymore because guess what? We're not like saying, oh, Bill Cosby, Bill Cosby. No, Bill Cosby did some messed up shit. Full stop. And so we're not going to support it. This guy, Andrew Tate, does some messed up shit. So why are these guys trying to defend him and his bull crap? Because that's what it is. It's just bull crap. So at the end of the day, Andrew Tate, I wish you well, but get your shaman out my fucking DMs. That his shaman's been in my DMs for 3 days, talking some gibberish, some weird stuff. So get him out my DMs.
There are points that Andrew Tate makes, and I'm gonna give the mic to you, though, after this. But there are points that Andrew Tate does make that you can go ahead and relate with. There are some points that he makes that you can relate with. But then in the same breath, he does, like, he'll say men need to get up, and I'll continue to state this. He'll say men need to get up off the couch and like work out, get themselves into shape, be somebody kind of thing. Like he'll say these like I saw a few clips. But in the same breath, he then starts talking recklessly. So like his message, if he has some sort of positive message, it's automatically eliminated by the next words that come out of his mouth. Like Jordan Peterson, I keep going back to him. Like he says some things that are edgy. But if you really listen to Jordan, like I personally agree with him. I agree with what Jordan's saying. But this man just takes it to the next level. And this is not me shitting on him being envious in any way or shape or form. No, absolutely not. But when you're teaching young men, and this is the problem that people just don't understand what I'm trying to say. When you're saying these things about women and you're putting women down and you're treating them like a piece of meat, okay? You're literally talking about women like they're a piece of meat. You are then young boys are tuning into you. Young men are 18-year-olds are looking at your stuff. And they're going to try to attempt to do what you're doing. But they don't have the money, the assets, the swag, I guess. I don't know what swag he has, but the swag he has to approach a woman. And the first time they get rejected by a woman, they are going to become violent. That's my problem. And for anybody, at the end of the day, once it hits close to home for you, that's when you'll realize, holy shit, maybe, just maybe, I was wrong on that. Maybe they did have a point in that space on 51 and 52 about Andrew Tate. Maybe, just maybe they did. I'm not saying, when I said yesterday, women should be treated like queens, understand what I meant by that. I'm not saying bow down to a woman. I'm just saying, women do a lot for us, man. You love your mother? Do you love your mother? Like, honestly, do you love your mother? You do. Would you smack her around? Would you talk to your mother in the same way that you talk on Spaces? You wouldn't.
I actually do, but my mother also knows that I'm a sweet human being.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about, Akil. You know exactly what I'm saying. Would you tell your mother to go ahead and get onto OnlyFans? And you'll take 30% off of her? Would you talk to your sister like that? Like, think about this shit. Go ahead, Dow, and then Tammy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Great space as always. I know this is a very touchy topic, so I'll try to tread lightly on that. Hopefully, I don't get anybody to get angry at me for saying anything. So, but I apologize in advance if I anger you. Right? I think that the issue is in this conversation is people get wrapped up and focus on the personality of Andrew Tate. He's flamboyant. He's controversial. He's trying to gather all the attention. He's successful at it, right? But in my opinion, what people like is beyond the fast car and the muscle. I don't think that's really what's attractive to him. It's what gets you to pay attention. But if you're able to separate the man from what he's saying, people can disagree with what he's saying. But the issue that I have in those conversations is that a lot of times people just focus on his personality versus do they disagree with what he's saying. Right? And I think it would just be a better conversation. We just focus on, I disagree when he said X, Y, and Z versus, oh, he did that. And that's a contradiction with him saying is traditional. So actually, a lot of the things that you say, David, are right. Like, he's not saying anything new. Like, my family's from West Africa. I live in Colombia. I'm not going to, own that and define it for themselves. I'm just going to say, like, my experience living in the third world is a lot of values that Andrew is saying are not new. Those are old traditional values. So it's kind of like, it's hard because people get wrapped up with the controversial stuff and it doesn't sound traditional. But when we actually sit down and listen to what he's saying outside of the clips, there's not a lot of things that he's saying that are like super new or that different from if you were to live in Asia, more traditional, place, or Africa or Latin America. You would have heard those things and those notions would be familiar to you. So I think it's the voice that Andrew, the way I understand it, is society's moving in one direction because of all the past, because of the way women have been discriminated against, and probably in present time as well. But there's a feeling amongst men that there needs to be another voice to counterbalance the extreme that we hear sometimes from feminism and from other voices like
that. Tammy?
One thing that I wanted to say about Andrew Tate, I've never watched any of his videos. He was interviewed recently, and I did watch a short clip of that. There are reasons that I can't watch what you guys were describing yesterday because I believe I would be triggered by it. So it's best that I just don't. But when I saw him in the interview, honestly, he was saying things that I agreed with. I know that's probably unpopular opinion as well, but he didn't, he didn't sound to the extreme that I know that he is. So I could see why you would be saying those things too, that he, you do agree with some of the things that he says, because I found myself watching him thinking, well, he didn't seem all that bad. But again, I haven't watched all the other things, so I don't know that side. I don't know what's happened in those clips that people have seen, and honestly, I don't want to watch them, and I don't want to hear that because, like I said, it would be triggering. But I wanted to say to you, David, that I appreciated the way that you were yesterday with what was being said by a few of the people that were speaking. It was just super disrespectful, some of the things that I heard, and I've known you long enough and been friends with you long enough to know how you feel about women, and even saying that, women should be treated like queens. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And, that's how you feel. And I think that that's wonderful. And even in my situation, I want someone to be equal to me. And, I don't feel that I'm above my husband, and my husband doesn't feel like he's above me. So, but to me, what was being said yesterday, it really, I think I sent you a message and said I was shook, because I really was. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I really, really could not. And the fact of even saying that a woman doesn't want to work overtime. I sent Akil a message and I told him, I said, oh my God, back in the day in my 20s, my first managing job at a bank, I managed a bank that was open 7 days a week, and I wanted extra money. It's not that I necessarily needed it, but I wanted to hustle. There were things that I wanted, so I wanted to work for them, and it was just me. So I got a second job. the bank that I managed was open 7 days a week. And then I would go in and work the second job until midnight just so that I would have extra money. So to say that we don't want jobs like that, or even the engineering positions that women don't go for those types of jobs, I've known plenty of women that do the same jobs that men do. And I'm far from a feminist. I am not. But you know what? I'm the type of person, tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it twice for extra credit. So I just think that the mentality that was showing up yesterday was just really, really off. And I just think that they need to be schooled a little bit. I kind of feel sorry for their wives, to be honest with you.
I love you, Tim. I love you. I love you, my friend. And, yesterday.
I love you more.
There were just so many things that is like, but here's where I'm going with you listen to what he says, not all his other stuff. It's like, no, that's the person. The person who slaps women is the same guy who's trying to give me advice about how to treat. Come on now, who's trying to tell my nephews and my listen. I have my football players, my kids that I coach, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's the GOAT. He tells you how to handle women." Because guess what? That's who's watching them. A bunch of impressionable young people. And at the end of the day, I'm not with that. The impressionable young people that end up back in my care, then I got to say, no, that's not how you treat a woman. Oh, no, you don't need to put her on blast because you don't need to say, oh, but I gave her 50% of her own money. Listen, if a girl wants to be on OnlyFans and make her own money, then so be it. You know what I mean? Like, that's her prerogative. If a guy wants to do it, so be it. That's their prerogative. But don't be like, oh, I'm making them do this and I'm taking 50%. That is a pimp.
So a question for you, Akil, right? Let's say, I'll take an example that's horrible, but let's say Stalin is next to you, right? He's standing next to you and he says it's sunny. You look up in the sky and it is sunny. Does it matter that it's Stalin who's saying that it's sunny for it to be true or false?
That is the most extreme situation that you can come up with.
But it's a principle.
But it doesn't matter. Now, a fact is, it is. If it's sunny outside, it is sunny. You just move on. But you don't have. But you know what? For me, I would acknowledge the motherfucker. I'd walk by. I'm like, man, it's sunny. But I ain't got to sit there and I don't have to say a word to him. I'll keep on walking.
But you get the principle. It doesn't matter who says something. It matters if it makes sense or not. Then you can make an opinion for yourself whether it's true or false or whether it makes sense or not.
But see, what you just ignored was the young impressionable minds that we leave out there, right? So if you're leaving your children to go watch this trash, and then this trash ends up getting someone hurt, because that's what happens. Young people mimic things that they see and hear. They just do. And that's why parents have like controls on televisions, on stuff. But at a certain age, you got to start bringing those things off because they have to grow up. And so you rely on making sure that they're taught well. But when you spend half your day with a bunch of retards at your school, no offense to anybody that actually is retarded in this world, that was just me being a 90s kid, which that's inappropriate for me to say now, but I totally recognize it. But when you've got a bunch of young people at your school talking about, yo, this is how you get a girl, this is how you do this, and then they say, no, Andrew Tate will tell you how to do it. Because they're just growing up differently. It's just like in school when all your buddies would sit around the table, at the lunch table, for those of us who had lunch tables and we didn't have the internet, and somebody would pass around the one porno mag you all were going to look at for the week. Here, everyone look at the Playboy, Now it's like, oh, everyone listen to Andrew Tate. He'll tell you how to get dating advice.
For me, yesterday, when the topic, I got a little bit heated. And when you get heated, like, you really can't express yourself, period. And I got heated because I was like watching certain people. I don't know if they were like purposely trying to agitate people or they were being real about what they were saying. Dow, I'm not talking about you because listen, Dow's expressing his opinion, so I can't go like we can agree to disagree and we still remain friends. Like that's it is what it is. I don't want to change anybody's viewpoints. I can only express how I feel. They can express how they feel, and you could take it. You could take both into consideration, and then you move along, kind of thing. But like there were other people that like I felt like it was just, yo, I'm gonna do some I'm going to trigger people. I'm going to go ahead and touch your nerves, kind of thing. And that to me, it was either that or you really believed in some of the shit that you were saying. And I was like, all right, cool, like, but it got me unhinged a little bit. And now today, I'm definitely on some different type shit to where like that's not going to happen. And what I want to express is when David Goggins, right? I'm going to bring him up. When David Goggins speaks or Jordan Peterson speaks, like they have this tone of voice about them to where they're literally making points without going into a different direction and then saying something different that literally takes away the major point that they made in the first place. So to me, hold on one second, just want to get the mic up here for YouTube. Shout outs to YouTube, all the people commenting. Shout out to you guys. Respect you. Much love. Um, for me personally, I feel now we live in a society where we have to go and bring shock value in order to be seen. An example, Richard Hart. I'm going to bring up Richard Hart right now. Richard Hart, whether I agree with him or disagree, sounds like an intelligent person. He does sound like a very intelligent person. I've interviewed him, he's interviewed me. He sounds very intelligent. Nobody would listen to him. Guarantee you 100%. With the stuff that he says, nobody would listen to him. He had to go buy expensive shit in order for you to go ahead and listen to him. This is the current society we live in. If you're not bringing something shocking to the table, nobody's listening to you. So are you really saying something or are you just trying to be heard? Tammy, go ahead.
I do have to step down, but I just wanted to say to the point of the children too. I used to tell Dave this when I have two stepchildren that are now 26 and 29. They were young. They were 7 and 10 back in the day when Dave and I got together. And I used to say, you're not raising children, you're raising adults. So, you have to teach them the right way. And obviously, Andrew Tate is not the right way. And, some of the things that I heard yesterday, knowing that some of these people have small children, it's just sad to me. It really is, because I think that we have to do better. And they are going to become adults, and they can be products of their environment and what they've been taught and what they have witnessed and what they have been exposed to. And you just have to be so careful with that. And with what I've heard about Andrew Tate, I seriously, like I said, I would be triggered by the abuse situations because I've been there. And you never want to, if it was a joke or whatever it was, it's not funny. That's not even a funny joke. So in listening yesterday when that was said, I don't know if it was real or not, but from what I've heard about this person, it probably was. So it's just, that's never okay. And like I said, we have to do better. And I just feel the things that were expressed yesterday were just very eye-opening and shocking to me. But I just wanted to say again, I appreciated you guys stepping up, you and Black and even Dow. I mean, you guys, you've been nothing but always respectful, and I appreciate you guys. I want you to know that.
I love you, Tammy. You make me so... I'm getting a little verklempt over here. I love you.
Love you. Love you, my friends.
I think at the end of the day, like opinions, people's opinions should be respected as long as you know that they're, like I know who's coming from a good place, or I feel like I do. So it's like you should. We might disagree with some. Like again, I'm pointing to Dow here, right? So Dow has a different viewpoint, and it's okay, but he's saying in a way where it's where I bring back Jordan Peterson, right? When Jordan Peterson speaks, he's not yelling at you. He's gathering his thoughts and he's laying them out and he's telling you how he feels about this certain topic, and especially like this one. And you can respect it. You don't have to like what they're saying, but you can respect it. When you have somebody that is purposely digging and trying to stir up shit, that's the problem. And unfortunately, Dow, somebody like you who speaks out, you're not going to be seen. And it's unfortunate. You won't be seen, you won't be heard. And I don't say that in any disrespectful fashion. The reason why Andrew Tate is being seen is because he's hopping into a Bugatti, a Porsche, or whatever other 14 cars he has in front of his, house, and he's living this life on social media, and these young kids gravitate to it. Then they have no experience, and God knows what kind of household they're growing up in. We have to take all this into account. A lot of these kids are not growing up with father figures, right? And now they see, a man like this that comes out, and he's, kid might not have confidence at all, has insecurities, and boom, they see this guy. And now whatever this guy now says is it's Bible, is gospel. Like, yo, this is God right here. He knows what he's talking about because look what he's done. Like from the videos, look what he's doing. So I can do that. And I just feel like, again, I speak more towards the young men that will go and take his shit and try to attempt to do what he's doing and fail. And when these kids now in this current generation, being that they're so soft, they fail, they turn to doing some crazy shit. That's all I'm saying. That and honestly, like going back to it, we shouldn't, I'm not telling men to degrade themselves and bow down to women. That's not what I said. What I say is that you can go ahead, we can treat each other as equals. And yeah, maybe me growing up around a bunch of women has my perspective and my viewpoints a little bit different than yours, because I would never go ahead and disrespect a woman unless hey, I'm from New York. Unless a woman I'll take it. I'll take it. But there comes a certain point, you want to go ahead and keep talking. Well, then, yo, in a few more minutes, you keep going on and on and on, and you're embarrassing me. Well, I'm gonna lay into you also, because now you've literally went ahead and said that you are on the same level as me, so I can go ahead and rip into you also. I would do that. I would do th but I am patient, though. I will hold, I will try everything possible not to be confrontational and walk away from a toxic situation, but that does not mean you can't answer back. What I'm saying is, though, at the end of the day, the whole that video, if anybody saw it, it was very disturbing. It was a disturbing video of a woman being beat. Like, she was being beat. And like, so the messages, like Akil said, the messaging means nothing when he's doing something that is literally nuts. It is nuts. But yet you still have men justifying it. And that to me is the problem. Go ahead, Dow. You had your hand up.
Yeah, I get that, and I appreciate that. I'll never be as famous as Andrew, man.
No, I listen, God, I hope listen, I hope you are. Listen,
I'm not even trying like that. I'm just joking. But like they used to say, "Don't kill the messenger," because literally, like in England, whoever would tell the village that the Vikings were coming, they would get so angry that sometimes they would literally kill the messenger.
Yeah.
So that goes to say sometimes we conflate the two, right? I think unfortunately what happened yesterday is people were talking past each other, and those conversations are so sensitive that it's hard for people to not feel like they already know what is right and what is wrong, and it really pissed people off to hear something opposite to their views. So unfortunately, those type of conversations are really hard to have because we already know what we want to answer, contradict. So the only thing that we can do, right, and that's the best thing I have is we got to focus on facts. And so if we have conversation more based on facts, then we might be able to actually learn from those conversations. Because David, like you're making the space available for people who contradict, who have different opinion is very important. It's the only way for us to actually learn from each other. If we assume that we will know the truth, then why even bother having conversation?
But my only thing is, Dow, like, I can have a respectful conversation with you. I don't agree with the stuff that you're saying, but I can respect. I will respect your take on how I will respect how you feel. Do I like what you're saying? No, but you have your own views. When people are coming up here and purposely triggering people, that's the problem. And also, we don't have women up here. Like, we don't have women up here talking about this subject, especially a topic which is surrounding women. And every time we brought up somebody yesterday, and unfortunately, I was in the listen. I was taking a piss, man. You try to hold in piss for 2 hours, drinking bottles of water as you're like trying to do this whole thing. Like, I had to go take a piss, and like Jessica comes up here, and I'm hearing from my office like she's not allowed. She's being cut off at every which angle, not being allowed to speak. That's fucked up. I give everybody a mic. I give everybody time to go ahead and speak. I mean, like, why? Because she's a woman, she was getting cut off? Like, it was that like, listen to the recording. You have Hector laughing, and I already know how Hector feels about women, so, like, there's no reason for him to come up here. There won't be a decent conversation here, that's why I'm not letting him up. But I will let everybody else up here who wants to chime in, who didn't get to chime in yesterday. Jay, I see you out here. I also see Ben up here. Ben, what's going on? Jay.
Hey DG, thanks for having me up. I've been listening to the conversation for a little bit, and something that I'm absolutely in agreement with just about everything you were saying. But one of the concerns, using Tate as an example, he obviously appeals to a lot of young men, and when someone like that gets deplatformed, then these conversations that were happening out in the open are kind of forced into these smaller, more segregated groups where there's even less diversity of thought. And I guess I don't have an answer for this, obviously, but a concern of mine is that, when these conversations happen in smaller, more private groups, they get even worse and worse. And people get even more kind of angry and in this little group of just like-minded individuals, becomes pretty dangerous. So, and not that we have a solution here, but, that's definitely a concern of mine is like, what is the effect of, we think removing these people from social media is the answer, but what is the actual effect of that? And are we just hurting ourselves by not, actually defeating the enemy through conversation and just saying you don't actually have a right to sit at the table anymore?
No, heck. By the way, let me just answer real quick. Jay, I'm gonna answer your question. Hector, I'm gonna answer your DM. No, I don't surround myself with yes people. I just want to have a conversation here where people can have different opinions without triggering people. You're here to trigger. You're not here on this conversation. You're not here to actually have the conversation. You're here to purposely get somebody excited, and there's no need for that. Like, I actually want to have a conversation. I don't want to be triggered, or have you have your win because you triggered somebody, so they went ahead and got excited and motherfuckered somebody. So you can stay down there and think, think whatever you want to think. It doesn't really bother me one way or the other. Jay, to your point, um, I don't believe anybody should be deplatformed. I think that's the wrong way to go about it. I don't think Andrew Tate should have been deplatformed. I believe, and I've said this in a video, it's on YouTube. I said it yesterday, it's on YouTube. I've been saying it the entire time. You don't take away his platform, because you're, number one, you're taking away the opportunity for at least me to have a conversation with him. I want to go ahead and have a conversation with him so I can really engage with him and see where he is at. Is he doing it for, obviously, look, we already know shock value, definitely that's why he's doing it. You can't tell me otherwise. Definitely doing it for shock value. But does he really believe this? And that's something like, if you take away somebody's platform, you're just going to make somebody more interested in that person. Period. You're going to make somebody more interested in finding that person. So I'd rather them be here. It's the same thing with Trump. I don't agree that Trump, Trump had his platform taken away. I don't believe that should have been the case. Should have left him up here. Maybe should have suspended him, but then allowed him to come back. But to completely take him away, take him off every single platform, I mean, then again, it's like what I go back to saying. It's like one side gets to talk and the other one doesn't. Like my whole entire Twitter feed, I'm losing people that I follow because they're being taken off the platform, but the other side remains. And that's not right. So basically, what I mean by that is all the people that voted for Trump are being taken off of Twitter and Facebook and all these other platforms. Meanwhile, anybody who's voted for Biden gets to stay on.
Whoa, David.
No, it's true. It's true, Akil.
David.
It's true.
The ones who continuously to back him about a lie that has been disproven 100 times over.
But hold on.
If you think a lie is the truth and they go, nah, man, that's not the truth. This is how it happened. And you keep promoting a lie, dude, you've got to be fucking silenced at some point because that it's been proven to be a lie from all sides.
Akil, when you take away somebody's platform, all you're doing is, especially let's say you want to talk Trump, when you take away Trump's platform and you have 80 million plus people who voted for him, you are now.
He didn't have 80 million. He had far less than that.
How many? How many do you
fine? I'm lost by 30 million. And the electoral
hold on. Akil, I'm going to ask you, give me, how many people do you think voted for him? Forget about my 80 million. How many people do you think voted for him?
I think it was about 73 to 75.
Fine. 73, 75 million people voted for Donald Trump within the United States of America.
But that's voting. It doesn't mean people
so now I'm gonna
agree with them. It just means they voted because they only have two choices.
Okay, so now let's make it like, let's say 50 million people love the man. Can I be fair about that then?
We'll take it. I'll tell you what. Let's take it down to about 25 million.
Let's say 25 million people love this man. Now you have taken away his platforms and not allowed me to engage with him.
No. They didn't take away his platforms.
They said, what do you mean?
He created his own.
No, but they suspended him. He had no other choice but to create Truth Social.
Well, no, Truth Social was already coming out, but also there are over 300 million people in this country. I mean, that's a known, like that's kind of a fact.
But Akil, 25 million people. 25 million people.
So 200. So like 200. That's why I said let's make it easy, even 25 million. So 25 million get to decide what the rest 275 million have to deal with.
No. You're saying that those 25 million people aren't important.
Well, if 25 million people are wrong based on data and information and analytics and decentralized platforms, yeah, you got to kind of say, guys, you're wrong. You got to stop saying this. And if you don't stop saying it, we're going to remove you. Full stop.
But you see, like Akil, that's fair. That's not that's unfair. So you're basically saying 25 million.
About knowing the rules, David.
No, you're saying no, but hold on. You're saying you're saying.
If I keep telling a lie, and look, if you know the rules and I know the rules, we're fair. That's fair.
You're saying 25 million people are not allowed to have a voice.
They have a voice.
No, they don't.
They absolutely have a voice.
They don't.
And when they continued with their lie, then someone says, all right, guys, that's enough. But and you keep going. It's like, yo, I said that was enough. Like, we all have been punished for running our mouths.
Okay, Akil. So them talking about, okay, I'm going to give you a point. The press secretary saying that and you had that whole press hole that's asking questions about inflation and a recession. You have the press secretary redefining the definition of a recession and inflation. Are they telling the truth?
She's wrong, and she knows.
But hold on, but they still have a platform.
Guess what? She's wrong, and guess what? Every 4 years, the American people then vote them out. I mean, that's the way.
But Akil, but hold on, but you didn't listen. Like I heard you, but you didn't listen to what I said. They're wrong. They still have a platform though, and they're still putting out misinformation.
And in a year and a half, people then get to silence them.
So hold on, So now we go ahead and silence people because, like, do you understand where I'm getting at, Akil?
What I just said was you get to silence them with your vote.
No, but after, let's say we go ahead and let's say Biden's not reelected. Let's say it's somebody else. I don't know who it is. Now it's not Biden. Somebody else gets reelected. Does Biden now get his platform taken away from him?
Biden isn't on Twitter, so I mean, because he'll probably honor what most other presidents do, and they pretty much go radio silence for the first 2 years of the next president's term.
Okay,
They really do.
so the press secretaries that have been putting out false information, do they get their platforms taken away?
Well, they don't have the same platform, if that's what you mean. So they'll never have the same platform again. But most of them end up in fairly good positions when they're done.
But Kim, real quick, this is why a lot of people are pissed off, because they feel like their voice is not being heard when people can play with definition and change them the way they see fit, right?
Well, wait a second. People that change definitions is because we don't have a common definition standard. Like, so when I ask somebody a simple question of, well, what's your idea of fascism? And they can't answer the question. Or what's your idea of communism? And they can't answer the question. It's because there is not a standard definition for how we approach things. If you first start off with what's your definition of this, and I understand we're coming from the same place, then we can have a conversation. But if you tell me fascism is anybody who doesn't like Donald Trump, I'm like, well, we're not going to have a conversation, because guess what? Your idea of fascism isn't actually what fascism is.
Akil, can I ask you this question? Was Donald Trump, before Donald Trump became president, did you dislike them?
Did I dislike Donald Trump before he was president?
Yeah.
Did I not always like some of the things he said? Absolutely. He's kind of a dick. But I'm also like originally from New York, a place where Donald Trump built multi-million-dollar facilities in New York City, and you're telling me he never had anything to do with the mob? Bullshit. You can't plug in a light switch in New York without freaking going through a union. No way he don't got ties to the mob.
Okay, but I'm just saying, my basic question was, before he became president, did you like Donald Trump?
I didn't like him, but I didn't hate him.
Okay.
Still don't actually hate him, because I can't hate somebody I really don't know.
So my thing is, I'm from New York. I think everybody knows that. It's in my bio. I'm from New York, and I listen to hip hop music. I'm a big hip hop fan. Not of the current shit that's out there, the mumble rap shit. I'm into.
100% agree with you. That is shit.
I'm into real hip hop, and every single song, any single song that would come out, the entire community had Donald Trump in there, making money like Trump. You had Mac Miller come out with a song about Donald Trump. Like, you had a bunch of people that consistently had lyrics about Donald Trump or had him appear in their videos. Literally, they had Donald Trump appearing in their videos. As soon as he became president, the minute he said he is running for office, he became the most hated man on the planet. Literally. I'm being very neutral. But this is the truth. He became the most hated person on the planet. I have no agenda, by the way. I'm just calling it as it is. This is my opinion, though. This is not fact.
I agree with that. Like, before, like when I came from United States from France, I was a post-Marxist, so obviously I became a Democrat. Before Trump got elected, I agree with what the media was saying, that he's dangerous, he's an idiot, what have you. After he got elected, I couldn't believe this was happening. Still a Democrat. But over a certain period of time, the news keeps saying that he's the worst thing ever. He's the devil himself. And everything he does and say is the wrong thing. So after a while, you start to question the news. Is it possible that this man is always wrong? Because even the biggest idiot says something good or does something good. So this constant negative media representation actually made a lot of people question the affiliation to certain ideas and start to challenge their ideas. Because you can hate the guy, but you still have to look at what he does and what he's saying if it makes sense. And obviously, you're going to find something that makes sense to what he's saying. I think it's the same thing with Andrew Tate. You can hate the guy, but if you actually listen, there's probably some things that you will actually find valuable there. And that's the only thing we can hope for. You're not going to agree 100% with someone, but you have to be able to listen past the narrative that painting one person into something that's like a stereotype. And I think that's the issue. We placate those type of personalities into stereotypes, and then we ban them. And the problem is it leaves a lot of people that traditionally were probably on the mainstream, but just that questions. And now those questions are unanswered. So to your point, Jayla, if you ban those people, then those people will go into more, radical views, because that's the only place where they can hear their voice and they can see people that they think like them. Yeah, but they didn't ban him until after the January 6th violence. And that was the issue. So all through his, you're right, all through his presidency, people were saying, this constant negativity, like you're saying, but they didn't actually ban him until the January 6th violence came out. That's the issue. That's the problem. You can have many different definitions of all sorts of things, disagree about where recession is. But when you start lying about the very foundations of our government and support violence, then come on, man. That's a whole other order of unacceptable. What I mean? It's a whole other class.
Ben, I don't think I would hope that nobody here supports violence, and I don't support any type of violence at all. Period. But before January 6th happened, and obviously that was a tragic event. That was horrible. Like for being an American citizen, like as soon as when the 6th was happening, I was like, wow, this is horrible. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Like this is horrible. But my point on Trump though is that before that event happened, this man was consistently being tagged on Twitter for like those labels were coming out. And he was constantly being restricted from talking. And like that, that is bad because you're basically the man literally was liked. You don't have to love him, but the man was liked. But as soon as he became president or he ran for president, he was disliked. And there was no reason behind it. Like he was just disliked. And then he became president, and it was almost like we're definitely not giving you any sort of chance. Like we are going to make sure. I'm listen. This is my own personal opinion, and hopefully it's respected. But I felt like his entire presidency, everybody was trying to find something to get rid of him. Look, they impeached him, right? They were trying to find things to get rid of him. Period. They just didn't like him. He's not a politician. He's a businessman. Regardless of how you feel, whether he's a good businessman or not, he's a businessman. And it's different when you bring in somebody who's not a career politician into office. They start shaking stuff up. Look at the deal that we had with China. Like China finally had to go and pay the same tariffs that we had to pay them.
David,
Was that not a good deal?
But no, that's a good deal. That is a good deal. That is a great deal for the country.
He went to North Korea, shook hands. The first president to shake hands with this little chihuahua over there, man.
Well, again, not saying that everything he did was wrong.
No, but that's the whole thing, Akil. Everything that he did good, not mentioned. Everything he did bad, full screen.
Well, everything he did that was good did get mentioned, right?
When?
Because it was a very short list. Like they did talk about it, like when he worked with the Kardashians, and he was able to get people expungements and worked on prison reform, the largest prison reform in the nation's history at the time. Listen, I agree, because the 1992 crime bill was awful.
And who did that, Akil? Who did the 1992?
And I admit the Trump's administration did do some good things.
But Akil, hold on. Who was the administration that put that law into effect in 1992?
Oh, it was Bill Clinton.
Okay.
The 1992 crime bill.
But hold on.
Absolutely terrible bill.
Yet Bill Clinton was our first black president, right?
No.
Remember how
Arsenio Hall said that.
you remember that? No, but I'm just saying you remember what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Arsenio Hall said that. you know what? It was also listen, we are trying to judge things based off of 2020 or 2021 or 2022, but we got to recognize history was in a much different place in 1990.
Bill Clinton caught oral in the damn oral office, and like nobody, like, it was a big deal, but no, it wasn't, like, nobody, like, honestly, it was swept under the rug. It was like, whatever. The dude literally, yo. But hold on, Akil. Let me just finish. Let me just finish real quick and say that Clinton used words during that whole deposition and all that stuff, like questioning your thoughts on what oral sex was. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's two different.
Did not have sexual relations with that.
Exactly, but
I got a blowjob.
but but he played with words, but that was okay. That was okay.
It wasn't. He did lie.
No, but he wasn't hit with anything.
No, he was. He was actually impeached.
I know that, but he wasn't. What I'm saying is, he was never getting thrown out of office. That's what I'm telling you. And after the fact, he's still a hero in a lot of people's eyes.
Listen, William Jefferson Clinton is a deeply flawed man. But at the end of the day, again, I just have to make sure that we understand. I'm not saying Donald Trump didn't do things right. What I also recognize is that he's connected to people like Peter Thiel and Stephen Miller, who are both outright bigots. Like, there ain't no other word for it, man. They're just bigots. And so when you're connected to people like that and they're in your administration, and I know how they feel about black people, how they feel about well, Peter Thiel's a weird gay, but he's gay, man, but he don't like blacks. And he don't like Mexicans.
Kill's funny. He's a weird. I've never heard that.
The only gay white man I know that hates everyone else that's a minority. I'm like, but you're gay, and all right, whatever. Like, that's the type of people that you have around you. No offense, that scared me. As a person who understands the intricacies of DC, that's what scared me more. It wasn't Donald Trump that scared me. It's his circle of bigots that he had around him who would influence things that I could see are like, yo, I've been dealing this a long time, David. I understand how politics work. At the end of the day, it's not Trump who I was angry with. Trump is what I've got to point to because he's the president. But if you got a bunch of fucktards hanging around you, that means a bunch of fucktards are making decisions, and you're like the president going, hey, you get blamed for it.
My only thing is, if you take away, I'm using your numbers, the 25 million people that like Trump, and you take away his platforms, you're getting 25 million people mad. And now they go from being just mad to like furious, and it becomes cult like, because now you've taken away access for them to listen to this man, and they're going to find a way to listen to him, just like they've done. They've gone to Truth Social to listen to him.
I got one question, David. David, do you know what happened after when they ended Reconstruction?
No, you can go ahead and fill me in.
All right, because I'm just a history guy. I just go back on history. When they ended Reconstruction is when they removed African Americans from being able to hold office in Congress, because the South got their right to vote back. All those Southerners who were leading the charge for literally desertion from the United States got all their right to vote back. And that's when they started to vote to make it illegal for African Americans to hold office. African Americans held office after the Civil War. They were working to rebuild this nation. But because those Southerners who were just pissed off and they wanted their right to vote back, they ended Reconstruction. That means when Reconstruction ended, that means the Southern voters were allowed to vote again. And that means that African Americans' voices were denied in those states, and it led to Jim Crow, discrimination in lending, housing inequities.
But what does that have to do with Trump?
What I'm telling you is history repeats itself. Is that when you have a small group of people who are just pissed off and you give in to them, guess what? They'll do the same shit again. They didn't change. They didn't change how they felt about race or how they felt about slavery or how they felt about the North economic innuendos. They didn't change. Those people were still mad. They told their kids how to stay mad. They told their grandkids to stay mad. And then their great-grandkids were born, and their families were still talking the same mess they were talking 150 years ago.
So this is based on assumption.
No, it's not assumption. It's about the statistical analysis of what happens.
So
a legacy.
Look, so hold on. If you
baby.
so,
laws of power.
But hold on.
Talk about that later.
But hold on.
Yeah, but you just admitted that Trump actually did good for the
exactly
the crime reform, right? And
hold on.
actually,
I said that
who put those laws in place? It was the Bill Clinton administration, including Joe Biden.
Exactly.
So the very person that's responsible for mass incarceration of Black people is not some angry racist from the South. It's actually just a regular Democrat.
Well, first off, I just admitted one fact, and then you ignored that he has a host of bigots around him. So if you can tell me why you would have Steve, no, I just asked you now, if you can tell me why you would do one nice thing and then have someone who is a complete racist next to you doing something that actually contradicts what you just did that was good, why? It doesn't make any sense. It's asinine behavior.
But that was my point from the beginning, right? Like you're focusing too much on the person and not the action. But you can say the same thing about Joe Biden. Joe Biden went to the funeral of a KKK general. So can we say that Joe Biden is a KKK member?
Who was that? I want you to say who that person is.
I gotta look it up, but I remember.
I want you to look it up because you know whose funeral he went to?
Senator Byrd.
He went to a senator's funeral, not just a leader of the KKK. He went to a senator's funeral. And that's the difference. He went to the funeral of a senator, but you only knew it as a KKK member. But guess what? It was a senator.
He also said some things against desegregation. So
absolutely. You know what?
So why does it scare you for someone to be associated with some, racist people on one side, but the same thing can be applied to everybody else?
You ask a good question. I'll tell you why, Dow. So Joe Biden voted against the Martin Luther King bill in 1980. So did 80% of Congress. They voted against it. The difference is that Joe Biden eventually apologized and was like, look, I made some terrible mistakes. I was thinking about history and I look back and I did bad decisions. I can accept a man that admits they're wrong.
Hold on, Akil. Can I stop you real quick? The words are great, but actions to me are better. And like Trump went ahead and passed that bill, right?
Well, it was executive order, but yeah.
Yeah, so he passed it, which did what exactly?
So the Trump's bill actually reduced the sentences, then allowed for people to be able to be moved out of certain incarceration places. They can actually apply for clemency. They can get out early on bail reform. They were working on doing these things. So again, there's a multitude of things that are listed in it, but it was a pretty good piece of policy that was put through.
Basically unwinding the shit that was done in 1992.
Well, if they really wanted to unwind it, they'd actually go back and unwind the 1992.
But you know how hard that is when you have the other side that just hates you, right?
Well, no, the other side doesn't hate you. So if they would have actually put this through, so let's look at Tim Scott. All right. So everyone here, if you don't know who Tim Scott is, Scott is
I know who Tim Scott is.
Well, I'm just letting the audience know. So the audience knows Tim Scott is the sitting senator out of South Carolina. I don't always agree with Tim Scott, but Tim Scott put a piece of legislation that said, look, lynching is a terrible thing. We need to make sure that it never happens in this nation again. And the first time they tried to pass this de-lynching bill, this non-lynching bill, like, hey, no longer should people be able to get lynched, and we should say we're sorry as a nation. Tim Scott put that up. Who blocked him? Rand fucking Paul, his own party member, blocked him. Why? Because Rand's like, well, this is just bad. We're sending a message that people did things wrong in the past. The Republican senator from South Carolina put together legislation, bipartisan, with Cory Booker, and the first person that blocks it is Rand Paul from Kentucky, because Rand Paul says that he doesn't want to admit that people were lynched in this nation. Come on. Like, that's the type of work we're having to deal with here, is that there are so many people who are bitch fit and crybabies in Congress. And I'll say Democrats too, because there's a lot. There are so many people in Congress that just throw bitch fits because they just don't like things. They don't like to admit things. They don't like to admit they're wrong. That's where we're at in this society. admitting you're wrong is saying, look, I can get better. I want to get better. But we don't have enough people that want to admit to get better. So at the end of the day, all we end up with is deadlock.
So so basically the message is we're going to throw you off a platform until you go ahead and admit that you're wrong for something that you believe you were right on.
What was that, David? I'm sorry.
Basically, the statement that is made is we're going to throw you off of a platform. We're going to take all your platforms away until you condition yourself to fit into this current narrative, our narrative.
It depends upon the scale. I mean, you can have difference of opinion on all sorts of things. But again, Twitter acted after the January 6th thing. That was the line because that was a huge issue.
Was he found guilty?
Of what?
For the 6th.
I don't know. Is Twitter or Facebook required to let you stay on the platform?
No, they could. Obviously, it's a corporate organization, centralized, and they can go ahead and throw me off at any time.
Okay, well, that's what happened.
But so it means
6, they were like, all right, man. Well, no, because look, David,
no. But like you just said it, Akil. So basically, means at whatever time, if you say something that somebody doesn't like, they can just throw you off.
Dude, I've gotten kicked off Twitter for saying, "Hey, Southwest, you trying to get me killed?"
I get it, but like at the end of the day, do you think you deserve to get kicked? I mean, like kicked, or that's good. You think that they did the right thing? See, my thing is,
January 6th, they did the right thing. Look, he was allowed to tweet. He kept tweeting. But when people who attacked our capital, who attacked the seat of my democracy, who tried to destroy this republic, who tried to bring it down. You know, I watch a lot of people make a lot of assumptions about things, but look, last thing I know, I ain't never seen no Black Lives Matter protester trying to burn down the U.S. Capitol or hunt for Nancy Pelosi or hunt for the vice president. That means those people did not respect the offices. They did not respect the offices. I may not like Donald Trump, but he was the president of the United States, and I would refer to him as the president of the United States. I wouldn't call him Agent Orange or all those other things. I refer to him as the president because guess what? I respect the office of the presidency. That office has more respect than an individual. And that's what we do here in this country. We respect the offices because they have earned the title. They have earned the right to be called our president. Whether I like them or not, that is what they've earned.
I think we had, if you wanted to talk about people being surrounded by racist people, think you can go ahead and look back into history, you know, the timeline of presidents. And I would really say that there are a lot more presidents that were surrounded by so-called racist people in their circle than Donald Trump was.
Yeah, but that was also a much different period of time.
We can't go ahead and
couldn't vote at one point.
I mean, like I never heard, honestly, I've never heard anybody from his circle say anything, at least to my knowledge, I never heard them say anything racist.
Go look up Stephen Miller's track.
I don't like that guy. I wouldn't care if he's a Democrat. I don't never liked him. He just looks like an asshole. Like me and you in an agreement, like right there, that guy, I don't like him. Like he's a complete, he's the kid in school that like was bullied and now like he became like somebody who weaseled his way into, whatever. Like I don't like that guy. I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't like him.
See, we agree. And that's those type of people worry.
But Donald Trump is not somebody that I look at is some sort of pushover that will allow anybody. He fired somebody every day in his goddamn fucking organization. Excuse me, in his staff. There was somebody being fired or thrown out. It's not like he was like, "Yo, yeah, I'm listening to you." Hell no, get out of here, bro. You know that. Come on, Akil.
I can't disagree with you there. There was always somebody getting thrown out.
If somebody didn't do what he wanted, they're out.
Doesn't mean that they weren't weren't doing what they wanted to either and trying to disenfranchise other folks. Like there's look,
I don't think honestly, I think more people have stated that they felt minorities have stated this, and these can be found in newspapers. Now, again, my love for mainstream media is none, but like people heck like okay, my personal conversations. There are people that are like, yo, I like Trump. Like I feel like he did more for me than any other president.
some people feel like that. I definitely feel look, and I'm a Teddy Roosevelt. I got to make this very clear. I'm a Teddy Roosevelt type Republican. Like that's the type of republicanism that I always believed in. Matter of fact, I left the Republican Party because I couldn't stand Ted fucking Cruz. That's what ended it for me. That guy's a POS. I mean, that guy. I mean, literally, I have yet to meet anyone in Congress in my 10 years of being an active lobbyist that actually liked him. Nobody. So that's where I'm coming from. And as a Teddy Roosevelt era Republican kind of thought process, it's I want big corporations out of my life. I don't want you ruining things. Guess what? Big corporations are able to buy the White House right now. Both sides. They can just flat out buy it. And you know what? I'm a little tired of it. So that's where I'm at, and I'm tired of the debate about Trump because to be honest, he's no longer our president. Joe Biden's a president. Joe Biden's responsibilities. Joe Biden has to own up for what he did as well. I hold people accountable. That's what we should be doing as Americans, holding people accountable and calling people out on their BS.
I think we do. I think it's just that when we do it, people are like, oh, no, you don't fit the narrative, and let's get you off the platform. Like seriously, like the other side can't make an argument. Even if it,
an argument at this point.
No, but I'm saying anybody who's a conservative or a Republican, I think it's very scary for them to go ahead and speak on social media.
I think anybody who is a conservative actually can speak on social media. I think anyone who is an extremist has issues speaking on Twitter. Look at my profile pic. I'm sitting literally in a photo with Rick Scott.
Okay.
Former Senator, Republican.
I know that.
From Pennsylvania.
All right, I'm gonna give you this, Akil. Ready? When COVID came out and the vaccines came out, or were coming out, and Trump was pushing for it, because Trump was still in office. Obviously, COVID happened during his tenure in the beginning, and the vaccines are coming. You had big time Democrats saying, just like going ham into him, ripping him apart, all that shit. And then when Biden came into office, they flipped the script. There's plenty of tweets out there from very, names that especially you, Akil. They flipped the script. So it's like, bro, like this guy was never given a chance to like even operate. Like let's call it for what it is. Like he wasn't even given a chance. And let me be clear. I don't agree with half the shit Donald did. So like I don't agree with half of it. I hated him going onto social media and talking about Rosie O'Donnell and how fat she is. Like, and calling her a pig. Like I didn't like that. I was like, yo, bro, like can you stick to running the country? Like that to me was like every second when he would tweet out some like crazy random shit, I was like, bro, like stick to running the country, man. But like the China deal, North Korea, like there's a lot of things that he did, the prison reform, like all these things, like it's like brushed under the rug. Like, yeah, you acknowledged it, but like other people don't, like they brush it under the rug, and it is what it is. Let's continue to look at the bad things he's done. Well, we can look at every president and see the bad things that they have done.
Just to clarify, that's a picture of Rick Santorum. I accidentally said Rick Scott, but Rick Santorum, former Republican senator out of Pennsylvania.
I thought you wanted to say Rick James.
Yeah. I wish Rick James would have been dope. But yeah.
But my point, Akil, in this entire conversation was, I don't want to get into this. What I wanted to say was, when you deplatform somebody, you actually make their audience bigger. Like literally, when you deplatform somebody, their audience becomes bigger, and they become more cultish, and they become way more loyal than when you just let them stay on, and within like 5 months, I guarantee you, if you went ahead and let Andrew Tate stay on all these platforms, by 2023, the beginning of 2023, you wouldn't even know about him. He would be done. It'd be a flash in the pan.
I mean, there's always there is that old proverb: give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves.
Exactly. So like,
I mean, listen, it's hard to
look what Howard Stern did. Howard Stern in the you imagine, I'm gonna give you an example. Howard Stern comes onto radio, shocks the nation. Like, he's doing things that are crazy. They are crazy. You've seen the blackface that Howard Stern did.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? They also did blackface in Silver Street and Trading Places. It was based on a time and an era, not based on today. Which, again, we hold people to a different standard today than I would if it was 1980.
We're trying to cancel Dave Chappelle.
You can't cancel Dave Chappelle.
I understand that, but I'm just saying we're trying to cancel Dave Chappelle. What we're trying to do is we don't want to laugh no more. We're done.
You can try to cancel Dave if you want, but Dave, you can't cancel a guy who damn near created cancel culture.
You can't cancel somebody that keeps showing up. But my whole thing is that if you take away people's platforms, they get a bigger audience. When you let them have the platform, they will go ahead. Guarantee you, they are gone within 5 to 6 months. And I'm talking about people that have the thought process of a Tate. Period. Like, I really believe that. I don't believe he would have lasted any longer than 5 to 6 more months. He would have had a fan base, but I don't believe that the conversation would have been surrounding him. We would have moved on to the next thing. But that we can't move on now because he's banned from all the platforms. People are going to make a big issue out of this, and his following will continue to grow. And yeah, I was about to go really deep into something, but like, I'll go ahead and shut my mouth. Haley J and Compassionate. Unless Haley didn't have her arm up. Haley, did you have your arm up or no?
I didn't. You sorry.
Okay.
Got me off guard. But I do think that when you take away people's platforms, it does grow their audience, right? And I'm gonna be among the first to argue my, or voice my dislike for Andrew Tate. But that being said, it's kind of like looking at bad behavior with children, right? Like, if we could collectively kind of ignore and disregard the nonsense, then there's going to be a very small population who is going to long-term support that and follow that, hopefully, because we're not giving it that light. We're not giving it breath. We're saying, like, this is, we can say, like, this is ridiculous and then move on. And eventually, yeah, they usually burn themselves out. And then it's like, oh, well, maybe I'll do something different. What are you guys doing over here? Like, that's literally behavior intervention with children. And I kind of look at him in the same regard, but definitely really drawing the light and attention to it by removing him. That enrages people. That makes people angry. And then not only does it increase his following, but it makes them more radical in their behaviors to support him. So I do think it creates a bigger problem. Not that I support anything that he does or really want him here, but I definitely think that it makes it a bigger issue.
Appreciate that, Haley J, and then Compassionate NFT Kids.
Yeah, appreciate it. I just want to say thanks again for holding this conversation. I think a lot of conversations people hear in spaces or, in general these days, just people yelling all over each other. But, David and Nikhil, you guys have this ability to actually have a discussion that doesn't get out of hand, and you can use evidence to support your arguments, which I think is just great to hear in a public setting. It doesn't get out of hand. And listen, the idea of putting our money where our mouth is and truly, having this belief that people of different opinions should be able to talk. David, it's your platform, and you can have whoever you want up here. But if Hector has any interest in coming up still, I would recommend, giving him an opportunity until he loses that opportunity to share his thoughts and feelings in an appropriate fashion.
I think
we're
I'm
trying to
I think I'm the
encourage
only
him.
person who has like some sort of platform that allows Hector to come up constantly. Today I chose not to bring him up because I think Hector likes to do something where, and I think he's super intelligent, but I think he likes to purposely trigger somebody, and everybody really felt super triggered yesterday because you probably missed the episode 51. You can listen into it, but he triggers on something that for some people is super emotional, and the amount of DMs that I had was like, is this Hector's real thoughts, or is he just up here purposely triggering the shit out of everybody? Especially, Jess is up here like, Jess is calm, and like every single time she tries to talk, she's being like completely stopped from talking. And especially this being it was a topic surrounding women, you want women to go ahead and be up here talking about how they feel too, right? It's not like it's constantly men up here telling women how they should feel versus women telling you how they really feel. It's like men speaking for women. Like, are we still back in medieval times where we can go ahead and do that? I think we've had this conversation today that when I said to Akil, well, look at the racist people that were surrounded the presidents you know a few decades ago. Well, Akil told me like we're in a different timeline now, so I would think that we're in a different timeline now where we allow women to get up on stage, have a microphone, and speak freely without interrupting them. So I don't want none of that shit going on.
I don't think you said anything that was like super controversial, right? Like we were talking about the wage gap, and there was a disagreement around the facts. I think people like, and include myself, like we get emotional, so we hear something that wasn't said. I don't think it was saying anything about women not, being crypto or things like that. The issue was
no, Dow, you didn't get emotional. You didn't get emotional because you presented your argument. But your argument was, even if you were getting emotional, your argument was very laid out in a way where it was like everybody for the most part was trying to lay out, you know, even if we agree to disagree, lay out their thoughts in a mature fashion. There was no triggering. You weren't up here trying to hit somebody's nerve to send them into like I'm telling you, I had a bunch of women in my DMs telling me like, yo, I'm about to choke out Hector. Like, I can't even believe he's saying that. Like, that's what I had. And like, so I wanted to make sure that everybody got their thoughts in today. And I was going to bring up Hector. I have like 12% left on this battery anyway. Because yes, he does deserve a mic, and I agree with that with everybody. Like, you guys already know, Hector's up here all the time, especially in my spaces, and I'm always talking nice about him, even though I don't believe in BSV at all. But I would hope, I would hope that if I do bring you up, Hector, that it isn't like what you pulled off yesterday. Compassionate. What's going on?
Oh, what's up? Just wanted to talk about raising three boys and the social media aspect and treating women with respect. That's something that my wife and I obviously promote to our kids. My wife makes more money than me. She's more successful. She's our rock. She keeps our family going. She owns her own business. She employs 22 women. And she's absolutely phenomenal. And if anybody ever disrespects her, I'd smack the shit out of them. But people like Andrew Tate, like my son didn't even know, my 13-year-old son didn't even know about him until he was banned, and his friends started telling him about Andrew Tate. And he's coming up to me asking me questions about Andrew Tate and stances and stuff. The good thing is my kids come up to me and ask me questions and do approach us, both my wife and I, and try to figure out what's wrong and what's right. And I think that's a good quality to understand what you're listening to. And unfortunately, there's a lot of kids out there that don't have that outlet where they can go to their parents and understand what is right, what is wrong. But this is also something that's been going on for years and years. I mean, going back to when I was a kid, we were watching videos of, women on MTV, being, mistreated in front of you. They may think they're acting that way on the video, but that's always been something that's been promoted, and it needs to be addressed. I think from a cultural standpoint of the media outlets, our entertainment.
I mean, I'm not banning hip hop, bro. Like,
oh hell no, I'm not saying ban hip hop.
Like, yeah, that shit ain't happening, man. Like,
no,
and
no
like,
doubt.
But Tipper Gore tried. Tipper Gore definitely tried.
But again, it goes back to respecting women outside of hip hop and stuff like that. Trust me, I love hip hop. I'm an EPMD fan. I'm old school rap, and my boys hear it. They listen to it. But I'm just
unfortunately, this is unfortunate too. When when a hip hop artist lays out lyrics, they are, for the most part, talking about the life they've lived.
Yep.
And what they've seen in their surroundings. So when people try to say, well, Andrew Tate and then hip hop, well, Andrew Tate grew up well. Like, this is not like he didn't grew up like this is, you cannot make the argument between hip hop and Andrew Tate and what he says. Like, it's just.
Oh, I'm not making that.
No, not you. I'm not saying you. It's just that people have made that.
That kids need to understand that it's art and it's not something that needs to be promoted as something you do. There was a good book by Iceberg Slim called Pimp, and a lot of people misinterpreted what he actually was saying in the book. It's just the interpretation of things. I believe needs to just be. If kids are reading stuff or watching things, there has to be a parent that comes back and explains, what this is entertainment, what this is educational, and this is the way you should actually treat other human beings.
Appreciate that. Ben, and then I don't know, somebody had their hand up, but I didn't see who it was. But Ben, go for it. Ben still has.
Man, you brought up Chappelle and Stern, and now we're talking hip hop. And this is all like comedy and arts, and that, you're right, to try to cancel that is just a little bit too much. But someone like Tate, like Akil said, he's an actual pimp. This isn't an act. This isn't talking about a life experience. You know what I mean? He's an actual pimp. So, like someone with Trump, he can say whatever he wants. He should say whatever he wants. And you're right. If you cancel people like this, you kind of like give them more. People say, oh, I'm interested in that. Oh, why are they trying to cancel him? I want to listen to that now. I want to know what's going on. It almost is like a blowback in your face. But there are still lines, right? So when Trump crossed it with the January 6th stuff, Twitter brought down the hatchet. And when Tate is an actual pimp saying what he says, you can disagree or agree with Twitter, but the simple fact is there is an actual hard line. You can disagree exactly where, but there is a hard line that you can't cross.
I always say there's a line that you cannot cross. There's absolutely a line that you cannot cross. But I'm gonna just agree to disagree on, I think we all agree about the 6th and that it was a horrible fucking event that should have never happened. I think we all are in agreement here with that. But there's a few things that I disagree with it in terms of the way that Trump was treated during that event. So that's really it. Like, there's a few things that I disagree with. But could he have done a better job? Yes. No doubt about it. Could have done a better job. 100%. But, instantly taking away his platforms and stuff like that. To me, it was just like it was like there was no concrete proof or anything for taking away his platforms. It was just like, let's take this away from this guy right now, immediately.
Well, he kept saying that the election was stolen, and it wasn't. The DOJ, his attorney general.
But that's his opinion. Like, so
No, David. That becomes no longer an opinion. He is stating that as the president of the United States. He was stating that from the POTUS account, which then goes into the National Archives. That became the issue. He used the presidential account, not his personal account. And then when they just said, you know what, F it, we're just going to ban them all together because this isn't the way it works. He could have used his personal account to continue to say whatever he wanted, but he was using the presidential account. And that comes with responsibilities. I don't think that people have to recognize that with great power comes great responsibility. And he had a duty to the nation not to put out a tweet that says this thing was stolen, it was rigged, it was fake, there's all these other... No.
Did he say go attack the Capitol?
He instructed his army, we're going to march over to the Capitol after this rally. That's what he said. We're marching to the Capitol.
But did he say, let's make sure that you have your guns and battle weapons ready, we're going to war?
Hey, guess what? Sometimes you don't have to if it's implied. A measurement of implied does not mean it has to be explicit. Like if I say, hey, David, you and I are going to the strip club. Hey, guess what? We're probably going to see some titties. Like that would be your assumption, right?
Yo, but like, again, like, you see, like what I'm saying, Akil, is like, he didn't tell nobody, bring your guns out, get your bats out, let's go. Like, we're going to, like, he didn't say that.
But he did say nothing for 4 hours.
Okay, and that is the only thing. That's the only thing. I'm siding with you.
Go home, we love you.
I will say,
we don't love you.
I will say that from that standpoint, something should have been said by a sitting president. So, like, we're not going to have a fight there. We will not have a fight there. And we will not disagree there. Because that day, I was saying the same thing you were saying. Is just that I was like, where is Trump? He needs to go ahead and Trump needs to say something. That's what I was saying the entire time. I was like, Trump needs to say something right now. I don't care if there's Republicans in this room, Democrats and Republicans. Like, listen up. Like, during those 4 or 5 hours, the president should have been out there, literally. Forget about Twitter. He should have been out there on TV saying, "Get the fuck away from the Capitol."
100% agree.
So again, but taking away his platform because of his response time, that's my issue.
But if you didn't say anything in 4 hours and the first thing out of your mouth is go home, we love you, you're good Americans, good patriots. No, they attacked our capital. That is not a good
I don't remember the tweet, so like I would have to I'm not saying you're lying, Akil, but like I don't remember. Like I don't remember the actual tweet that I know he came out with a tweet saying like and I don't know in which timeline it was, but I know that he was like, this is unacceptable. So like I just don't know what came first, and like I just don't want to speak out of my ass.
Yeah, he never said it was unacceptable. He basically said go home.
He did say it on TV.
Yeah, like it was just.
Didn't he say he said it on TV?
He might have said it on TV. I'm just talking about the tweet.
I'm just again the timeline to me is like fuzzy, and I don't know it. Like so, like I don't want to pretend like here and like get like I'm not one of those dudes, man.
Yeah, but you know what? Our nation's capital has only been attacked once before, and you know, again, for me being a historian, that's where it hits you in the gut.
But my only thing is, Akil, we cannot take away platforms. Like we can't like, especially like you guys bring up Trump. Well, you want to say 25 million, even though I think it's higher than that. Well, 25 million people now don't have access to somebody who they like, and that's fucked up.
Is it because 25% is still less. Look, 20% of this country is crazy. We already know this.
Absolutely.
They just are. We just are. Like 20%. So that's why when, and I know people will probably hate me for this, but when Mitt Romney in 2008 said 47% of Americans are going to vote for Republicans, it's really just finding out, can I capture another 3%? He's not wrong, right? Because the statistics and the data show people who are more conservative.
Hey guys, so you tuned into the breakdown episode 52 live on YouTube. I appreciate everybody. I didn't know that I was muted the entire time when I first started. I'll make sure to double check before I go on live moving forward. But thank you so much for tuning in. I'm getting off of this discussion right now on Twitter Spaces. Back on Monday through Thursdays, 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, just had, obviously, as I was saying in the beginning, but I was muted. I had problems getting onto the internet due to a technical issue, but that has been resolved. So your boy is back, and yes, these are some, these topics that we talk about. You know, they're sensitive and people get triggered, but I think back to 20 years ago when speaking about these topics, we were never triggered. We had a good, healthy debate, and it allowed us to learn stuff. It allowed us to, you know, formulate an opinion, the right one. And now I feel like we're stuck in a time where we just have one side that says something and the other side is blocked from saying anything. And I think that's wrong. I think we should all be able to speak freely. There is freedom of speech as long as you don't cross the line. And you know what I mean by crossing the line. There has to be a certain line that you just don't cross. But to have these debates, they're healthy discussions, and that's how we grow. We all grow by having these discussions with people we don't agree with, because then we can finally realize or understand where they're coming from, so we can go and essentially maybe even change our own viewpoints. And on that note, I'm out. I don't even know how to turn this off, but I'm out.